Welcome back to you, to me, to the viewers who stuck around and waited for season 3. Can you believe it?
No, because 3 years, going into 3 years of this, I know how inconsistent I can be in my own life. So imagining doing anything consistently for 3 years that isn't required of me is impressive, but very
Same,
happy.
same, same. To do something for 3 years for pleasure, it's been a while. Honestly, it's been a while for me.
It's my
But
pleasure.
I just tie that to the constant grinding of living in a capitalist society, where if you're not doing something for money, are you really doing it?
Mm. Speak on it.
This is a ship that's going to be sailing for a while, my friends. And it is very nice to be here on the ocean with you all.
Speaking of capitalism, let's talk about tennis.
You have got to be kidding.
Electrifying the crowd. Oh, that's incredible. What a way to win it.
Those who thought we were putting water on my fire, you're really adding gas to it. And now I'm really burning so bright right now.
Jay, what's been up? We always take off after the US Open ends because we believe that that's when everyone should end the tennis season.
Yeah, we
Um,
take off after the US Open ends because we're tired of tennis at that point. Because we watch from January to September. I will be honest and say that this year I did cheat. I watched tennis until the end of November.
wow, you needed it. That's okay.
As the weather gets cool, nothing holds me down like tennis, honestly. And I was like, I'm gonna do this until I can't anymore. And when the season ended, my season ended. And
Hello.
my break was just as long as the players' break. And I know for a fact through my own research and experience, the break is too short.
Sometimes you need on the ground journalism just to confirm things.
I'm an investigative reporter at this point.
I'm glad you did it because we can't just say things and not do them, not
Yeah.
experience that endless grind, as you said before, ourselves. So I'm glad that was you because I would have done it, but you got there first.
Now, mind you, though, I wasn't doing anything during the break.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just the viewer. My eyes were relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
My brain was relaxing.
Amen.
4 weeks. The players, they probably had maybe like 1 week off, like truly, where they were like on vacation in a sunny place that didn't have a tennis court. Maybe they were yachting, who knows? But then they got right back to the grind of training, of becoming more familiar or as familiar as they were with the courts, of improving their serves, of improving their defense. Their break is way shorter than ours, in theory.
Yeah, we talk about this all the time because we both dislike it deeply. And like I'm pretty sure I've said it on this podcast, but I think that's a major barrier for more people to stop themselves from getting into it. Because I think that, listen, at this point, I'm a sports expert. I've been really leaning into sports because it's one of the last communal things that we have to do at the same time as a
Come on,
society.
come on, Stephanie A. Smith.
So, oh no, not him. I hate.
Someone
Um,
needs to take his throne. It should be you.
I would happily take Stephen A. Smith's throne. One black Libra sports person
He's a
replaced by
Libra.
yeah, girl. Can you fucking believe it?
October though, yeah. Lord.
I know, like a shot to the heart. But yeah, I've been leaning into sports because it's one of the few communal things that we can do as a society all at the same time together. And so I've really been thinking about this, particularly because the playoffs are happening in the NFL and people are excited about the playoffs as they should be. But there's also like this looming feeling that when the playoffs end and the Super Bowl ends, the season is done. And then you have to wait months for that shit to come back around. And it builds momentum and it builds interest even for people who might not necessarily be into football. If you watch a Super Bowl where you're like, oh damn, that was good, that was a good sport thing, then you have to wait for it to come back. There's some anticipation there. But tennis doesn't have that. They just go and go and go. And then the players rarely have the opportunity to share who they are outside of being a tennis player with the general public. So you have a very minute sense of their personality and who they are. It's kind of like a double homicide because they don't have time off to rest and do things outside of tennis for the most part, unless they legit take an extended break. And then audiences don't have the time to learn them
or miss them.
And missing a sport, missing an athlete in the tennis world, I think it's underrated. You just don't allow people to be missed.
Honestly, I think it's just underrated in our society as a whole. I love missing a person, a thing, an event, a sport, because when I get that thing back, I am so grateful. Missing a thing means that you realize its impact on you and your life. Yeah. And I want that for tennis. I do. Like, I came back to it even after that month. I came back to it and I was like, we are back. I started watching the US Cup when it started January 2nd. I was like, whoa, this feels new. Because I hadn't done it in a couple of weeks. And that was a nice feeling. But now I'm dreading the long season, honestly. We're only in January. And this is going until November, nonstop.
Yeah. Which, I mean, again, I won't be on that train. I'm really a January to September gal. I think it's nice to have a sport to watch that takes place in a hot climate when we're in the winter here in New York. So having it start in January with the Australian Open is perfect for me. I get to just like fantasize about when it'll get warmer here. And then going into spring is just a nice feeling. Roland Garros and Wimbledon. And then ending with a late summer in New York, it's kind of poetic.
It really should be the actual ending of the season if you really think about it. Because the US Open starts at the end of August. So the first week of the US Open, it's bright, it's sunny, it's nice. Towards the championship matches, there's a little chill in the air. Mm-hmm. It's not summer anymore. Well, it technically is, but like you feel the changing of the seasons. And that's beautiful. That's where it should end because everybody knows tennis is all about chasing the sun. And when that cool, crisp air starts, it should be over.
That's true. It's like a sunset. Literally, the tennis season should be like a beautiful day. It starts a little crisp. It's January. It's cold. It's like waking up in the morning and not wanting to get out of bed because the sun ain't really up yet. And you're like, if I get from under this blanket, it's going to be chilly. But then you slowly get your ass up out of bed and you're like, okay, the day's going to be good. Going to Roland Garros and Wimbledon, you're like, what a beautiful morning leading into an afternoon. And then the US Open is that evening wind down. And then boom, go to sleep. Take your ass to bed. That's what it should be.
And why not end the season with the Grand Slam? Go out with the bang.
Literally. Okay, so for today's episode, first of all, Happy New Year. This is the first episode of the 2026 season. Speaking of being missed, this is going to be how our episode goes. We're going to do a rundown of all of our 2025 Grand Slam winners, just as a reminder, because I forgot who won slams last year. And then we're just going to do some tennis player news. What's the vibe? What's it giving? What are the happenings that have occurred last year and honestly in the 11 days that we've been in 2026? And then we're going to end the episode with our predictions for the 2026 tennis season. And we have to talk about what, if any, of our predictions from last year came true in 2025.
I don't remember any of my predictions, but it'll be really interesting to see because I just be saying things. But
I wrote them down just as a reminder to be like, are we psychic or are we full of shit?
¿Por qué no los dos?
Okay, so as a reminder, who has won a Grand Slam in the year of 2025? Damn, no one's won a Grand Slam in 2026 yet. That's so nice.
It's so fresh. Anything is possible.
Truly, the possibilities are endless. That's so inspiring.
Yeah. To open up last year's Grand Slam, the season, the winners down under for the Australian Open were Yannick Sinner and a shock to some, but she was putting in that work, Madison Keys.
I appreciated that win. That was I love a surprise.
It was great, honestly. It was very, very great. She earned that. And it wasn't like an overnight sort of success sort of thing.
Making our way to the second Grand Slam of the year, Wimbledon. No, I'm lying to you. The second Grand Slam of the year is Roland Garros.
Yeah, from hard court, we go to clay.
We go to clay. You know why I skipped Roland Garros? Because it felt like a fever dream last year.
Honestly, I don't think any Roland Garros would top last year's Roland Garros for
Yeah.
me. I have fantasized about Coco Gauff and Carlos Alcaraz winning the same Grand Slam in the same year.
Yeah.
And it happened, and both of the matches were incredible. I don't think that I will experience a Grand Slam as good as that one.
Yeah, and then for me, the added bonus of it being on my favorite surface.
Ooh,
So
fair.
like imagine your favorite male player and your favorite tennis player both winning Grand Slams on your favorite surface.
It was incredible. And that Carlos Alcaraz v Yannick Sinner final, a classic.
I think
And everybody knew
it.
Everybody knew it was so. I think that was the first time in my life since we've started watching and consuming tennis that I was watching a match and I was like, this is going down in the history books easily.
Yeah.
Now I know what people were like experiencing when like Federer would be going against Nadal or Nadal would be going against Djokovic or like one of those like epic finals. We got one of those in our lifetime and it was so nice.
Yeah.
It was so nice.
I think the only match that could top it in terms of historical importance, legit, is Billie Jean King versus Bobby Battle of the Sexes. That's literally the only thing I could think of that might top it as a tennis moment that landed in general pop culture.
That's fair. Battle of the Sexes, the original. Battle of the Sexes is number one. Alcaraz v Sinner at Roland Garros is number two.
I think so. People who don't watch tennis or follow it knew about that match, which was nice. And you know how Google does their end of year ads where they do like searches of the year and they show that commercial? They were in it. A photo of Carlos and Yannick were in it. And I was like, oh shit, this reached the masses. That's cool.
Yeah, honestly, a pop culture moment for the year 2025. But I will say, we moved from Roland Garros, that epic match, to Wimbledon. Same two players on the grass, but the match was pretty straightforward in comparison. Carlos takes the first set, Yannick takes the next three, just by pushing him back to the baseline. It was fine.
Yeah.
And then for the women, though, honestly, that match I will remember forever because it's very rare that you see a person get bageled in a Grand Slam final. And that's exactly what Iga Swiatek did to Amanda Anisimova.
I honestly have tried to erase that one from recent memory. But then we wrap up at our home slam, and our winners were Carlos Alcaraz, the return, the redemption, and Arina Sabalenka, which is also a bit of a redemption.
Yeah, I would say so. She kept going for it, and she make it pretty far in all of the Grand Slams last year. She got to the final at the Australian Open. I think she made the semifinals of she made the final of Roland Garros, obviously, and then she made the semifinals of Wimbledon, and then she finally got her chip in New York City.
Good for her.
Not much else to say, but yes, good for her.
Let's move on to the happenings. Is there any piece of tennis news or information that you'd like to share first?
Yes, the breakup of the century in my eyes. Carlos Alcaraz and Juan Carlos Ferrero are no longer.
Bro, this was worse than Benefer's breakup. The first one, not the second.
Honestly, I can't imagine a breakup worse than this. Even my own breakup wouldn't be worse than this one. This just tore me up. I screamed when I read the news.
You
What
know,
are we supposed to do now?
you know how you know when something is traumatic? It's when you can remember where you were when you found the news out. And
Yes,
where were you?
I was in bed on my phone. I learned it was the first thing I learned that day, and it ruined the day for me.
And as someone, I think between the two of us, you are a bigger Carlos fan, and I think by proxy you're a bigger JCF fan.
Yes.
And so please describe for our listener if you have any thoughts or ideas about why it happened.
There are rumors, and I hate to speculate, but there are rumors that it involved money. But it also, there's another rumor that it involved Juan Carlos wanted Carlos's schedule to look like one thing, and Carlos's family wanted it to look like another thing, and maybe Carlos was included in that. And then there's another rumor saying that Carlos had no idea that Juan Carlos wasn't his contract wasn't being updated, and it was more like a decision that came from his business team, which also coincides with his family. So like people are saying that his dad had a hand in the decision. I don't really know, but all I know is what the fuck are we gonna do? For those who don't know the lore, Carlos Alcaraz and Juan Carlos Ferrero have been together since Carlos was like 12 years old. And basically, Juan Carlos has built him into the player that he is, into a champion. That is undeniable. And so to have that relationship come to an end, but then also to have it come to an end kind of abruptly, and knowing who Carlos is as a player and as a person, I do feel like we will see the effects of that on the court very quickly. And I don't think they're going to be positive. That remains to be seen. That's what I'll say.
I mean, yes, I get where you're coming from and I get what you're saying. My question, as someone who likes Carlos and respects him as a player and likes JCF and respects him immensely as a coach, I wonder if this is temporary because I genuinely don't see why this had to happen.
Yeah.
I think all of the reasons that you've mentioned are things that can be solved. So it seems really unwise to give up a relationship that was going that well for any of the reasons that you've mentioned. It doesn't make sense to me.
I agree. I mean, the only other reason that I could actually understand, and this was also one of the speculations, is that JCF wanted to slow his life down and he wanted something different for his calendar. There was a rumor that he wanted to like just be with his family a lot more. That I can understand. It would make more sense to leave your all-star player because you're like, well, I've done basically everything I can do for this person. Like he Carlos can't learn much else from me. Maybe I go and I build another player up, which would require less of my time. I'm on the road less, and I still get that satisfaction of molding a player, but I also have access to my family. Maybe that's it. I hope that's the reason, honestly.
Well, I was listening to a different tennis podcast. I'm not saying no names. And they were saying that the split came as a bit of a surprise to JCF.
Yeah.
If that is true, and I texted you and I was like, maybe JCF wants to like start a family or be more of a home. I was gonna say homebody. That is so crazy to say in this context, but just be at home more. But when that was shared, I was like, well, if it's not him wanting to like do less, there is literally no reason I could think of that can't be solved, worked out between the two of them. That's not saying that Carlos can't find a magnificent coach in someone else. But if it ain't broke, you know,
That's what leads me to believe that it was neither of their decisions. I think it was the powers that be outside of them. Because in my heart of hearts, I don't think that Carlos would ever be like, I don't want Juan Carlos to be my coach. Like he really loves that man, and it's like it's very evident to see when he's playing. But also, if you watch Carlos's Netflix documentary, it is extremely clear. They have a lot of love and a lot of respect for each other. So I don't think that it came from either of them. I really genuinely think that it was a business move that somebody else made.
If that is true, which honestly makes the most sense, if neither of those two main parties are involved in the decision, most of his team is his family. So it would have had to have come from his dad.
That is my prediction.
Or, I mean, if I'm just throwing everything in, his brother, but highly doubt his brother.
I think his dad is thinking about the future. If that's true, I think his dad would be thinking about the future and be like, well, we want Carlos to be affiliated with the Carlos Alcaraz Academy, not the Juan Carlos Ferrero Academy. Both of those organizations exist. And right now, because Juan Carlos is or was Carlos's coach, and they're like, well, this is the person that molded him. This is the person that can take your average player and turn them into a superstar. Maybe folks are thinking Carlos is tied to his academy, to Juan Carlos Ferrero's academy. Maybe his dad didn't want that for the future. Maybe he was like, well, in the next 5 to 10 years, I really want you to represent my academy. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, it's all speculation, but if that, again, what you're saying makes sense also, even if it is speculative, I honestly think it's a little premature. I think that Carlos last year in 2025, at the end, he was visibly reaching this stage where he was relying on JCF less. And I think that's going to, it has to continue now. But if this split had not happened, that would have continued into this year. And I think maybe the end of this year would have been a more opportune time if you're going to end that relationship to end it. Because he's at the beginning stages of not relying on his main coach in times of crisis. So giving him an additional year to develop that and develop his own mental independence when he's on the court, probably, I think, would have been a better deal.
I agree. I think that the timing felt, for lack of a better word, icky. But I don't know. Carlos is a really strong player. I think he'll be a really strong player regardless of who's in his coach box. I wish him luck this season. But I know change is hard and it can affect your gameplay. So, I'll take this season for what it is in terms of Carlos Alcaraz's playing.
And I think it'll be interesting to see him undoubtedly playing Yannick in some final when Yannick still has his coach Darren Cahill on the roster and Carlos doesn't have his coach that he's had forever.
Honestly, it feels like an underdog situation, really. Which I do like. I love an underdog.
Yeah. I guess it adds to the soap opera-ness of tennis.
Anyway, that's my biggest news from the off season. What do you got?
Well, honestly, I need to rant. I need to vent. Battle of the Sexes 2.0 happened.
Right.
Yeah, I just needed to take a moment of silence. If you have been so lucky to not know what Battle of the Sexes 2.0 is, technically it's just called Battle of the Sexes, but I call it 2.0 to differentiate from the original.
Please do.
2.0 was a match between Arina Sabalenka, the #1 women's tennis player. I like to say #1 tennis player when I'm talking about women, and then #1 men's player when I'm talking about men. The #1 tennis player in the world versus Nick Kyrgios, who is currently ranked in like the top 300 or something.
Yeah.
But formally has made it to a Grand Slam final, does not have any Grand Slam wins, and is coming off of injuries and issues with staying healthy. So some dweeb decided that this would be the perfect pairing to play a match, a man versus a woman. And outside of that, no stakes, nothing.
No. And then the location is also incredibly important.
I wanted the location to be the cherry on top. This took place in Dubai. Literally needed a second moment of silence for that, just to ingest it all. This meant nothing. This was beyond vapid. I don't know. I watched the whole thing. I have no idea who it was for still.
No, me either. I
This-
didn't watch the whole thing. I actually had to turn it off because I was so bored out of my damn mind.
So I'll be the one to describe this event. It was so clumsy the way this event was put on. Nick Kyrgios comes out with an adorable child, hand in hand, to the center of the court. He comes out from like a locker room or something. Fine. Then Arena Sabalenka emerges from a doorway up in the crowd, wearing like a full-length trench coat that is bedazzled, glittered,
Silver. Yep.
silver, and makes her way down through the crowd to the court. And then the only person on this court with some sense was that child who she was partnered with, who did not want to hold her hand. The child got it. She sensed some bad vibes from this event. So Arena picks the child up and carries her to the center of the court. From there, it just tanked. It got even worse and was... There is no redeeming moment in this thing. The court is modified so that it is smaller on Arena's side and larger on Nick's side. Why they did that, I don't know. Nick wins, and then that's it.
6-3, 6-3.
6-3, 6-3. Arena does a little dance between a set that, again, it meant it meant absolutely nothing.
It meant less than nothing. It was just a cash grab. It was icky, and it was like, what? Why? Why these? I understand why Arena Sabalenka's there. Obviously, she's the number one player in the world. Nick Kyrgios, he's a joke of a player. He's an exhibition player. It's all he does. Right now, he just put out a statement saying that he's not going to play singles at AO because Clive said is a different beast. He's just an exhibition player. He doesn't have the stamina to even play a Grand Slam. So Battle of the Sexes felt even worse because he was there.
That is true.
And then you have to take into consideration his history with women too. It's not glossy. It's not shiny. What?
It made no sense. First, I don't understand why Nick Kyrgios in 2026 still gets opportunities, to be honest. I agree with you that he is an exhibition player, but he doesn't even do that well. He can win an exhibition like he did with this, but there's so many other people who could have played this, and there's so many other ways that this could have been significant. Billie Jean King said in a statement that this Battle of the Sexes is way different from her Battle of the Sexes match because she did hers for social change. You are 100% correct in that this is a cash grab. And not only was it purely a cash grab, but it was a clumsy, awkward mess of a cash grab, which I think extends to that entire later season of tennis. It's all a cash grab. It's all a cash grab to get more money and extract more from these players. That is the only symbolism I got out of that event.
I don't understand. I just, it was confusing because they could have just done an exhibition. It didn't have to take Battle of the Sexes name and warp it and turn it into something that it wasn't and muddle the historical significance of it. They could have just had an exhibition and called it something else.
Mm-hmm.
It was tacky. And now Arena Sabalenka looks tacky to me, honestly.
Unfortunately, Arena loses in more ways than one with
Yeah,
this.
she took an L with this one.
This is the lesson from this. Don't let Nick Kyrgios get you to do anything. If he's involved in something, you do not want to be involved in it.
Yeah, pretty much. Go the opposite way.
Speaking of it, though, and a great segue, 2.0 was organized by Evolve, which is, I think, a big reason why Nick was the male tennis player chosen for it. And Evolve is the sports media company that Naomi Osaka started, but is no longer a part of as of December 2025.
For full reference, Nick is repped by Evolve.
Yes, Nick is rep by Evolve. I think it's interesting that someone who started a company is deciding to distance themselves from that company and have it still exist. I wonder if Battle of the Sexes played any role in Naomi Osaka not wanting to be a part of Evolve anymore, because it would make so much sense.
It really would.
But that's just speculation. I like to think of Naomi Osaka as someone who is coming into her intelligence as a person, not as a player, and someone who is at the age of 28. Her brain is fully developed now. So I like to think of her as someone who things are starting to click for. And maybe that's the reason why she's not with Evolve. But whatever the reason is, I'm glad she wasn't, because that was a fucking mess. And I hope it never happens again.
Onward.
Onward, hopefully upward. Now that we've gotten that out of our system, let's move on to some good news that happened this year. Not good news for me personally, even though I wish I need some more money in my pocket. But Coco Gauff was the highest paid female athlete of 2025.
Golf clap.
Yeah, which is very cool. I wish that trickled down to me, like I'm saying. But it's cool that she has it. In 2025, she made $33 million. Only $8 million of it came from tennis wins and came from the court. She made $25 million from brand partnerships. $25 million. $1 million for every year she's been born, plus more, plus a little extra to cover taxes.
You know, when you really hear it, when you hear the numbers, when you hear the breakdown, it's like, whoa.
I think for me 2 years ago, it would have just been a joyous reaction to this news. Mm-hmm. But currently, in our current times, currently as we are current, I am like, great for her. But our pockets, the pockets of the plebeians, are so empty.
Yeah, it really is a complicated feeling. Like, it's really nice to see a young Black girl being at the top of a list, but that's a lot of money for one person. And what is she to do with all that money? She's 21, going on 22. She's a bebe. She is the rich, and that feels very unrelatable. So it's very complicated for me.
It's hard to root for somebody Black when they are inching closer and closer and closer to being in the uppermost economic and social class. And this is a class that I already despise. So having to juggle loving Coco Gauff, seeing her as an icon, and then being like, damn, she might have to be added to the list later.
She will be on the platter when we eat the rich.
And I think we're talking about this because some people might be like, damn, why y'all going after Coco and not other people? We're only talking about Coco because she is the most significant. Everyone else is obvious. Like, I feel I have no qualms about putting anyone else who makes an exorbitant amount of money on this list.
Right. Our opinions and our connection to those people, they're not complicated.
No. They're very simple. But Coco
Coco,
is like, oh,
yeah, Coco is a person that we really respect. She's an incredible athlete. She means a lot to us personally. We've seen her grow into who she is as an athlete and as a business person and a business period. And so, yeah, we do have a lot more invested in Coco's trajectory than the others.
yeah. I think in general for us too, I think we hold the ones closest to us the most accountable.
Serena Williams. Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. My perception of Serena Williams has changed immensely in the past year because of hypervisibility and because of athletes participation in capitalism where they get involved and invest in brands and products that are questionable ethically. I don't know if the idea of an athlete who is an icon, who is a legend, will have the same merit to it as it once did because we know too much. I think about, yeah, older athletes. Maybe they're dead now. So there's nothing, we're not super close to them. But when they were alive, before social media, before this closeness that we have to so many people, there was so much we didn't know about people. And there was less brand deals and partnerships and investments in that way. So it was possible to enjoy an athlete more just for what they did on a court and then hold them up based off of that alone. But now you have to think about their athletic abilities and achievements, but also consider it with what they're doing and sharing off the court. And so for me with Serena, I'm like, I can't look away from this. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say about it. That's why Coco gets it. That's why Serena gets it. That's why Naomi gets it. Yeah. Any other news?
No, I think honestly, I think that's the news worth talking about.
Let's review our predictions that we had for the 2025 tennis season. This is actually better because you don't remember them. So these might be a shocker to you. We predicted that Naomi Osaka would win a slam. Both of us did. I predicted that Frances Tiafoe would win a slam.
Oh my God.
You predicted and hope. There was a lot of hope in what you said. That, and I quote, Ben Shelton would take chip after chip after chip.
That's hilarious.
And you also hoped that he would just have a good year, which I think came true.
I think he did. Yeah.
And finally, we predicted that Sloane Stephens would retire. And did you or I predict that Gail Monfils would retire in 2025?
I think that was you.
Yes. So those are our 2025 predictions.
They seem random in hindsight. That Francis Tiafoe one is crazy given the year that he had. He had a terrible year.
I think what it was Francis was on the precipice of either going back up or shooting down in 2025.
I think it's because he had a really good US Open run in 2024.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. And then I will say he also had a good run at the US Open in 2025. So I mean, it's not the most random prediction.
No, given the rest of his year, yes it is.
Given the rest of the year, but I mean, for the first three halves, girl. For the first three seasons, 3/4 of the year, he was doing okay. Now winning a slam, no. Come on. Winning a whole slam.
And you know what? My 2026 prediction is that Francis Tiafoe wins 2 slams. Oh man, I'm so sorry, Francis. He has a new coach. Maybe that'll be good for him this year. I still don't see him taking a slam.
I don't either. I don't see him taking a slam ever.
He would say that you're delusional. he would say that you're absolutely wrong because he believes he is winning a slam.
Well, the thing is, one of us is delusional. And only time will tell which
You
one of
know
us
what?
it is.
You know what I'll say? If Emma Raducanu can win a slam, maybe. Maybe Tiafo can. Maybe all of the people that he needs to get injured will get injured. And it creates this runway to a trophy for him.
Yes.
That's what I'll say. I'll keep hope alive and say that, actually.
That's one way to do it. So is that an official 2026 prediction for you?
No, I'm really not putting that on my bingo card.
There.
But if it happens, I've manifested it.
I'm actually going to commit to the fact that Francis will never win a slam. Damn, I hate saying that. That sounds like
Big
hater
hater
energy.
energy.
But I cannot get off that train. I can't get off that horse. I just feel it. You know, I love to be wrong. So if it happens, I'm honestly gonna be more excited if it does happen. My official prediction for the 2026 season is that Amanda Anisimova will win a slam.
That's actually a pretty decent one. Very attainable.
The backhand will get her to the chip.
My first prediction of the year is that Madison Keys cannot defend her title down under in Australia.
Oh,
I don't think that she's gonna take it again. I'm so sorry. I want her to, but I've seen her play in Brisbane and it wasn't great.
Mhm.
So I don't think that she's as prepared as she was last year around this time.
I agree with that. I don't think the Australian Open is gonna give us anything surprising.
I agree with that.
Any predictions on the men's side apart from Carlos and Yannick?
No, I think Yannick takes it again, the Australian Open.
I think Carlos will take the French Open.
I want it to happen. I definitely want it to happen. I would like to see it.
I think that's his home slam for so many reasons, which we've discussed on our Roland Garros episode from last year. But like, he's maniacal on that court specifically at that event. I don't know if he'll take any others. I think you're right about Yannick taking Australian. Yannick comes out the gate really hot.
He's been arrested. He has been arrested.
Yes. And he's like a scary robot in January. So he's probably gonna take Australian.
And that slam kind of feels like his.
That one feels like his home. Yeah.
Yannick doesn't have a home slam. He's Italian. They don't have a grand slam. But something about the Australian Open feels like his. And I know that the US Open is also played on hard court, but I feel like the Australian Open is his slam.
I think so too. And I actually don't mind that. I don't mind the new two, as people call them, having a home slam. And in this meaning, a home slam being the slam that is basically theirs to lose. I don't mind that at all, because then it's like, damn, okay, all these people have an opportunity to dethrone this person who we think is going to win this slam. And then it takes the Carlos Yannick rivalry out of the equation when it comes to Australian, because I'm not necessarily like, damn, it'll be Carlos and Yannick at Australian in the final. I think it's Yannick versus all the other men and who are going to be in Australian. And it'll be like, okay, who is going to make this final against Yannick? And that's a bit more exciting to me. Like, oh yeah, Carlos and Yannick are going to be in the Australian final.
Very true. Other than that, I will say my greatest prediction for the season is that this season is going to be very predictable. At least on the ATP side. I feel like we're going to see a lot of Carlos. We're going to see a lot of Yannick. We're going to see maybe Novak get to some semis, because Novak's still good and he's still in the game. Looking forward to Gail and Stan's retirements. I think they're going to be very beautiful. On the WTA side, I think it's more of a toss-up. I think we'll have 4 different winners for each slam this year, just like we did last year. I think Iga is taking Roland Garros again.
Yes, I do too.
And honestly, I think Sabalenka takes the US Open again. Or Coco. I could see them in a final again. That's what I'll say. I think they make the final together, and it's between the two of them.
That would make it worth watching, that rematch.
Because Coco's been, she has her new coach who's been working on her serve. Her serve has gotten better. I think by the time we get to the US Open this year, that serve is going to be cemented. It's going to be very good. And I think it's going to be good enough to take her all the way to the final.
You know what I would love to see this year? If I'm hoping for something that's a bit less predictable, I would love to see Amanda Anisimova and Coco Gauff in the final.
Mm.
That would be so entertaining for me.
That would be really interesting. That really would be.
Let's play a game where I just list a few players that we know and love and have discussed. And you tell me if you feel like there's anything significant that they're going to do in 2026.
Okay. I'm nervous.
Elena Rybakina.
I think she takes the WTA finals again this year. I think she wins a 500. I don't think she wins a Grand Slam.
Okay.
For some odd reason, she can't really show up for Grand Slams. Like, she shows up a lot better in the smaller tournaments. That's what I've noticed about her gameplay.
Yeah, I think she gets nervous. Felix Auger-Aliassime, who is currently number 5.
Injured immediately.
You think he's going to get injured?
No, I'm joking. But you never know. You never know. Felix, love Fifi down. FAA, love him down. And I think he had a stellar year last year. I've seen him play at the United Cup last week. I think the most he does in Australia, if he's lucky, is reach the quarterfinals.
That would actually be a decent placement for FAA. Okay, Benny Boy, Ben Shelton.
I think he might do well. You know what? I'm going to bring exactly what I said last year over into this new year. Ben is taking chip after chip after chip. And even if I'm wrong, I'm right. Because in my mind, he is a champion.
You know what? I think, and people have said this before, but I think if any American man is going to win a slam, it's going to be Benny before Taylor Fritz.
Damn, that's a really hot take.
But I think I'm also having that take because personally, I don't like Taylor Fritz. Not him as a person. I don't know that man, but him as a player, I don't like him.
You know, I feel like Taylor Fritz has had his time to have a breakthrough and it didn't happen. And I think it's cooked. I think it's cooked for him, honestly. And he's struggling with a case of tendonitis right now. So, you know, I don't see anything grand happening to the man.
Taylor Fritz is better than a significant number of men's top players, but there are players whose caliber he cannot reach. So when he plays against the Novaks, the Yannicks, the Carloses, I don't see him winning. I don't even think the grit is there. I think there are other players who are not as good as Carlos, Yannick, or Novak who could pull out a win against them because the grit is there. But something about Taylor doesn't equate to him climbing up that mountain and defeating it.
So I will say that he can beat Carlos on a bad day because he did it last year.
On a bad day.
At the Laver Cup. He did it. It's possible. It's possible. Can he do it again? That's where I don't know. Genuinely, I do not know.
Well, I do. The answer is no. That's one of my 2026 predictions.
Especially with tendonitis.
Right, especially with that. How about Mira Andreeva?
Oh, this is a hot take. I think she'll have a normal year.
What does normal mean for her?
You know how last year she was the talk of the town because everybody's like, she's playing really well. She won 2 chips back to back. I don't think that happens this year. I think maybe she'll defend Indian Wells, but that's about it.
I forgot she won Indian Wells. Mm-hmm. Wow. Good for her.
I will say I would love to be wrong about it, though. I would love to be wrong about it.
You know, 2026 prediction for Mira Andreeva, but it's conditional. Mira Andreeva will get to the final of a Grand Slam if her and her coach Conchita have gotten her attitude together. And what I mean by attitude is when she is losing, her attitude when she is losing has to change. And if they have figured out a way to change that, then she will be in one of the finals.
I would like to see it. I'm not a hater. Asterisk. I would be down to see Mira make a final and see what she can do and see if she can be like one of those all-time like young greats. We'll see.
Yeah, this is second to last. I don't want to end on this one. Jessica Pegula.
I have no notes. I think she wins a 500. Jessica Pegula's kryptonite is anybody else in a final. And the only other players who make finals are all the players who are better than Jessica Pegula. That's true. And I've been watching her play. I've seen the start of her season and I'm like, okay.
Ah, okay. So, are there any players that you are definitively predicting take any of the slams? Or do you feel like for you, it's open to a few people? Like, let's go through all 4 slams and you say either a player's name or if it's more open.
They're all open, honestly. Genuinely, I think they're all open. I'll say for the women. For the women, I genuinely don't have any guesses as to who, other than what I said previously, I don't have any guesses as to who's going to take those chips for real. The men. Go ahead. I want to hear what your predictions are.
Australian, Arena Sabalenka takes Australian. And Yannick takes Australian.
Okay, keep going.
Roland Garros, Carlos takes Roland Garros. Iga takes Roland Garros. Wimbledon is open on both sides. I think maybe what's his butt? I forgot that man's name for a second. Maybe Novak goes far for Wimbledon, but I still think it's open. And then for the US Open, I'm going to go with Coco and Yannick.
Those are good guesses.
Why should be wrong? Wrongo.
I think you might be onto something with the Australian Open though. Honestly, I can't see anything else happening.
But I'm really excited either way because Australian Open qualifiers are happening today as we record this, January 11th. Qualifiers are upon us, and then the second round starts on Tuesday, January 20th. So we'll know sooner rather than later. Good luck.
You know, I take back what I said at the beginning of the episode where I was like, I'm not looking forward to the long season. I lied. I am looking forward to the Australian Open. Hearing you say that it starts on the 20th, I'm like, oh my God, that's so soon. And we're locked in. You know, I think I might take some steps back from the smaller tournaments because I happen to watch everything. But the Grand Slams, I am super excited about.
Yeah, the Grand Slams for me are always a great spectacle. So, and I'm in that same boat where I will take a break from a smaller tournament just to build the anticipation up independently outside of like the official organization refusing to build up anticipation. It's tough.
The high note didn't come through.
That's because I can't do it at all. I actually tried just now.
Oh, you did try, you said?
Yeah. I wasn't like not singing. I was
it was like a dog whistle. Like it was I guess high enough where I didn't hear it.
Thanks. Unfortunately, I don't have a black tennis fact. I've run short on them because I haven't been doing my research, but I will double down and have 2 for the next episode. How about that?
I thought you were gonna say I've run out of them because there aren't that many. Given the history of black folks playing tennis.
No, I mean black people are always doing something, so I can definitely find out some more.
We can make Coco Gauff's new salary band our black tennis fact for this episode.
You know, I thought about that, but as I divest more and more from capitalism, I was like, I can't do it.
Fair. Can't blame you for that one.
Any parting words before we wrap this baby up?
No, honestly, I am excited for Australia. I am looking forward to just being engulfed in my favorite sport. I've been thinking about having live watch parties, maybe online, so us and the viewers can sit down and watch a Grand Slam together finally. If that does happen, we will keep you posted on our social media channels. So, stay tuned. Other than that, yeah, it's tennis time.
It's tennis time. Definitely follow us on social media if you aren't already. We are at A Good Rally or A Good Rally Pod on all social sites, but we mostly post on TikTok. And if we do watch a slam in tandem, if we do go live, which I think will be really fun, TikTok is probably where you'll find out that we're doing it. In the meantime, in between time, have a great 2026 tennis viewing and playing experience. We will be back after the Australian Open, and we'll be online after the Australian Open to have a few TikTok videos ready to go. Be well, and
Happy New Year. Forza, forza.
nice. That was a good way to end it. Okay. Bye.
Bye.